Now, Miss Fields, I've been reading up on this story, and one part that I read that really disturbed me, and if I'm wrong, please correct me,
Okay.
but this happened in Bridgeport, Connecticut. From what I read, the police department never even informed y'all about her death. Is that accurate? And if so, how did you find out?
Um, Absolutely, that is correct. They never informed us that our daughter was, was deceased. We didn't find out until the 13th, and that probably like around probably nine, probably
Late on the
yeah,
13th.
yeah, late on the 13th. And I found out when I went there. Um, I looked on her front door and there was a note, a handwritten note saying, if you're looking for Lauren, call this number.
Hmm.
And it was actually left by the landlord, but I didn't find that out until a guy pulled up, and then I asked him, I said, have you seen Lauren? I'm Lauren's mommy. He said, hold on. He went and brought I guess a family member downstairs, and then she says to me, and I said, have you seen Lauren? She says, mommy, very, very bad. And that's when she went to get her uncle. Um, and then that's when my son came over, and that's when we found out. Um, Actually, Lauren's landlord had to tell, um, well, like my son, that Lauren passed away, and the idea that no one came and knocked on our door, no one called us, no one explained anything to us about anything at all. He was, my son called him, and he was very nasty, had us waiting for like an hour and a half or more. Um, it just seemed like it was like we was just being treated horrible. The way how he talked to Lauren's father, the way how he said, stop calling. I mean, why do we have to go through this in this time and stage in our lives when so much is going on? Only thing you had to do is make a phone call and be respectful. I got tired of them kept on saying to us, oh, we're gonna come over, we're gonna come over. They never showed up at all. He was very nasty and very arrogant.
And this is the
Hmm.
detective that she's speaking about,
Detective Cronin.
Detective Cronin.
And so the report is that she went out on a date with from the app Bumble, and the guy she went out with happened to be white. And I guess they're saying as of now that it was some kind of overdose. But the last person to see her alive, uh, this white dude from Bumble, they just let him go. What happened with this guy that they won't release his name? And he's just they. What happened with him? It appears that they, at least in the beginning, just took his word that something happened and that was it. But that's the last. I've never. I'm not a detective or a police officer, but the last person to see somebody alive, I would think there'd be some kind of more than just letting him go. Whoever wants to address that.
Definitely. I mean, in any situation when there's a death and when there's two people supposedly in a relationship, dating, talking, anything in those standards, the spouse is always the first suspect, just so you can rule them out. They usually take you down to the interrogation room, interrogate you, compare your statement that you gave them to the evidence that revolves around which is in the house. They didn't do any of these things. The guy, when I called the police that night, he told me that he was a good guy, a great guy. Leave it alone. Don't even worry about him. And he told me to stop. The detective told me to stop calling him and hung up in my face. They didn't do anything. They didn't take. They didn't do anything by procedure. They didn't notify my family. I mean, they said they couldn't get in contact with us, and that her phone was under They took her phone for investigation. They said it was locked. I mean, we all called her phone. It says mom, it says brother, it says auntie. They could have answered the phone. They could have got in contact with us. And we definitely believe, and we have resources that have told us that this guy is related to people in the police department. He has a lot of connections. It's almost like he has the key to the Bridgeport Police Department. And there's a lot of corruption in Bridgeport. And he's a white male. I mean, if you flip the standards, if my sister was alive and this guy was found dead in her house, oh my God, it'd be a pandemonium. She would be in jail to this day, probably no bond. They'll be trying to destroy her on the news every chance they get, and they wouldn't stop until they got justice for this man. And it's so sad that they're discriminating us so bad that they're not doing what needs to be done because he's a Caucasian man.
And not only that, the report showed his name, and we did our own research to find him on social media, and we were actually able to find, and this is early in the death. This is the first week of the death, early stages of the death. We were able to find his social media accounts. We knew and confirmed that it was him because he had Lauren as a friend, and before the story even went viral, within that first week, his whole social media changed. First, he changed his name online, and he changed his profile picture to a sunset. And then he deleted and blocked Lauren off of his social media. And a few days after that, he completely tried to go off the grid and deactivated his accounts, as well as his family members. They all just pretty much went ghost on social media. So that's not behavior of someone that isn't trying to hide anything, or someone of
Mm-hmm.
innocence. Um, if this was somebody that genuinely cared or had nothing to hide, why wouldn't you cooperate with the family that's grieving, or give them the peace of mind to say, I know this doesn't look right, but I do want to let you know nothing happened between my daughter, me and your daughter, or me and your sister, or me and your niece. If this is somebody that didn't have anything to hide, you will cooperate with the family, or you will at least, like I said, give the family some peace of mind to be able to just process what's going on. It's just too many red flags. It's too many red flags. There's been no DNA swabs. There's been no evidence that was examined. It's like they're trying to just brush everything under the rug, brush my sister under the rug, and move on with daily life as if this is just no one of importance.
Exactly. They actually want us just to forget about her. Like almost like, okay, because we know there's so much going on within the Bridgeport, as in the Bridgeport department. Right now, they're trying to shut us out, hold information till this day, from the 29th. All the stuff that was picked up for forensics still yet have not reached.
They haven't examined anything. There was a condom. For one, the scene was never quarantined, and a crime scene investigator hasn't showed up to the house within the time period of her passing. It took 2 weeks for them to come and the story to go viral, and them to remove the detective that was originally there, for them to even come to the house to check to see if there was anything left over. And by then, we were already in the process of moving Lauren's stuff out of the apartment. We found a condom. We found bloody sheets. There was lubricant. These are all three vital things that can be used in investigation, and they left that behind.
I have something I have to say. That night when all the family showed up there on the 13th, we was quick thinkers. We videotaped the whole entire apartment as it was. We did not touch anything. We videotaped from when we walked in the door. The plates was turned over. The food was turned over. How the apartment looked when we walked in it. We videotaped the whole entire scene.
Hmm. Uh, Whoever feels comfortable answering this question, but what do y'all know as far as what happened to Miss Lauren Smith Fields? What do we know of how she passed? Whoever feels comfortable talking about that.
We don't know, and that's why,
Hmm.
we're going the measures that we're going, because we don't know. The autopsy report has tried to come back as saying it's an accidental overdose, but our sister, our daughter, our niece, she didn't do drugs. She wasn't someone that did drugs.
And on top of that, the drugs that was found in her system is typically used for a date rape drugs. The drugs that was found in her system, those are drugs that are typically used for date rape drugs.
They're sedatives. They're sedatives. And it was a gentleman that spoke on this matter. I believe he was a doctor. I didn't catch his name, but he spoke on it on his platform. And he said that from the looks of it, from the mixture of the drugs that was found in her system, it sounds like a cocktail. It sounds like a cocktail. And just like Lakeem said, we have outside resources that have been reaching out to us privately saying that this is the behavior of this guy. This is not unfound, or this is not new. This is the stuff that he's done. Other women have complained on Bumble saying that they've been abused by him in the past, or that he's been given, like, he's a creepy guy. Some woman said that she went out on a date with him and woke up the next morning unsure of what happened the night previously. So are these characteristics or stories or reviews of a nice guy? How can the police rule him as a nice guy off of probably they probably didn't ask him anything, but how do you rule someone as a nice guy if you don't already know them, or don't have some relationship to them? You know what I'm saying? This just doesn't sound right.
And one thing that confused me is that the police, and if I had this wrong, correct me. The police said, "Oh, there was no foul play," and now there's an investigation. And I'm like,
Exactly.
well, what? Hold up,
Exactly.
y'all said there was no foul play. Now there's what? Oh, y'all just mad because people are hearing about it. That's how I interpret it.
If it didn't go viral, this would be
Right.
just another black girl passed, and that's it, and we're on to the next. It took we are super grateful for social media. We're super grateful for platforms like yourself for shedding light to this, because without you guys, Bridgeport Police Department wouldn't be doing anything. I don't even think they are still doing anything. It's taking outside agencies to step in and make things right.
And also they thought that this family was just gonna walk away, just be like, okay, she's dead, we're not gonna ask any questions. No, this is Lauren Smithfield's come from a family that loved her, that cared a lot about her. When she walked into our home or to a family member's home, it's like, Lauren, no, she was not going to disappear. You was not going to put her in some pottery grave as unknown. No, they didn't know they messing with the wrong family, because we fight hard for our daughter, for my daughter, for their sister, for our loved ones. We're not going away. The fight has started, and now is war.
Ms. Fields, let me ask you this, and this is kind of an obvious question, but I would just like for you to sound off on it.
Okay.
How different do you think this case would be in Bridgeport, Connecticut, if it were a white woman who met a black man on Bumble, and then she died, and the last person who saw her was a black man she went on a date with?
Okay. So far, if that happened here in Bridgeport, the white woman, they would put her face on the newspaper, saying, how she was attacked by a black animal, and this black man would be in jail right now. His bond would be probably like no bond at all, and they would be like, just like, oh, he's this, he's that. He would be arrested right now. He would be in jail right now. His family would be trying to find a lawyer and fight for him. But that's the difference when it comes to a Caucasian and the shoes on the other feet. That black man would not have a chance. Would not have a chance. A white woman is always looked at as the right woman.
And there was a similar case in Stamford, Connecticut, where a woman was living with a man. She was just a friend of the family. He went to work and he came home. She ended up passing away. She was on the floor dead. He was at work. They took him down to the precinct. They interrogated him for 4 hours. They did not let him leave until they got all the confirmations from his job, the time frames, everything when he worked, where he was at. They checked traffic cams to see where he was at when he was walking home. And then after the medical stuff came back, the autopsy, she had medical issues. That's the reason she died. But the point of the matter is they questioned him, they grilled him, they interrogated him, his statement, they measured it against the evidence that was in the house. They checked the whole scene. They didn't do none of that. They literally pat this man on the back and told him he could go home. He could go back to his family. He could live his life. He could walk around when my sister is 6 feet in the ground dead.
One thing I have to say, you know, us as Black Americans, we know when it comes to us, there will always be a different chain and double standards of how they handle us.
We got to work 2 times harder and be 3 times smarter.
Absolutely. And I want to make sure I heard y'all right. Just I want to make sure I heard it, just to make sure I'm not crazy. Did y'all say that this man, he has a connection to the Bridgeport Police Department? Did I hear that right?
Yes.
Yes, people have been reaching out to us, giving us that information that he has multiple connections to Bridgeport PD.
I mean, that just reminds me of the men who killed Ahmaud Arbery, and they had connections to the police department, the local police department in Georgia. That's just
you know what? I don't mean anybody disrespect, but you know what? It's the same thing that played out there that's playing out here.
Definitely.
And the mother had to fight. The mother, Miss Wanda Cooper Jones, she had to fight to be heard.
Exactly.
God bless her soul for fighting.
Yes, that's what you call a strong mother. That's what you call a mother that fights for her child. And I'm doing the same thing along with her father and her brothers and her family. We would not be silent at all. The cameras can go away, everything can go away, but our voice will still be heard.
Miss Fields, what are the next steps for y'all as a family? What are the next steps for something to be done?
Basically, I mean, actually, I want answers. I want them to actually, all the stuff that they picked up from my daughter's house on the 29th to be handed in. That was weeks ago. Nothing has been handed in.
They still haven't handed any of the items that my lawyer presented to them. I mean, we literally found a condom. We literally found a condom with semen in it, and they still not have. Bridgeport Police Department still has not handed it in to the medical lab. I mean, this is similar to the OJ case when they were driving around with OJ blood for days, almost weeks, and that's how he got off the case, basically, with a few other details. But it's insane. Like, what are these guys doing? Why are you still riding around with all this DNA? No family should have to come to the house where their sister, family member, loved one is dead, and we find the bloody sheets on the bed still. I mean, they even take the sheets off the bed. I mean, it's literally insane.
I have to add something else in as well. The
Please.
thing about it is that the reason why everything is taking so long to be submitted, because it's not going to be submitted. Nothing's going to be submitted. If this was a white woman and a Black man, like we discussed earlier, everything would be put in, submitted to make sure that they got this Black man. But because it's a Black woman, a young Black woman, nothing's going to be submitted. Nothing. We would never ever hear about it, ever. And also the internal affairs people that had interviewed with me, they were supposed to interview the rest of the family. Never got a call. None of the family members got a call. It was just something to be like, oh, let's just show the family that we're trying to take actions. They only had one interview and never called any family members to complain about the awful Cronin that all the disgusting things that he said to us and how he treated the family. But they never called any other family members. They're just trying to just like delay everything. I mean, it's playing out. It's like that's how it's playing out. They're trying to delay everything.
And I feel like we won't get any real justice, even with this criminal investigation is starting, just like they did internal affairs, just like they did a meeting. I feel like the only justice we really will get is when we sue the city of Bridgeport, Connecticut, which we are in fact doing at this time. I feel like that's the only justice we'll get. I feel like they're not trying to lock nobody up for this. Like we said, he has connections to the Bridgeport Police Department, so they definitely trying to cover him with that blue shield. And that's just a real truth stating the fact of the matter.